Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So they're back with a Varus updated complete guide for the latest patch. Now, Varus, as you guys know, is the best ADC in my opinion, but before we really get into it, don't forget to check out Varus's basic guide I put up in the cards above for his skills, leveling order tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. But without further ado, let's talk about it. So you guys have seen basically all of the other Varus builds. I've left the best for last. Not really due to choice, but because I found good situations to play, like the AP build, the lethality build, etc. So let's take a look at what the top players are building. You do have on hit here for the second player, but the first two, the first and the third player are basically going for similar builds to what I'm going for. And basically, you can ignore basically the last three items. And the reason I say that is because I feel that basically Varus's best build is going for Gluttonous Greaves into Essence Weaver into Triforce, and then completely situational for the last three items depending on what you need. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the last three items a little bit later on, but let's talk about the core of the build first, right? We got a lot of things to discuss because Varus is really a champion that can take a lot of runes, a lot of items, and let's just quickly get into it. If not, this is going to be a very, very long video. So Gluttonous Greaves is basically really obvious. Early AD, early Omnivan. Next, Essence Weaver. So Essence Weaver, the stats are decent, right? But what you really want is the Essence Flare passive. Mana Siphon also can be useful because Varus is very mana hungry, but it's just, it's useful when it's useful, but it's not the reason you build it, right? The reason you build it is Essence Flare, right? And that is enhancing your ability, enhancing the damage of one ability, right? So in Varus's case, that's going to be your Q. Now, this singular item is like Varus's best item basically. Now the only weakness of the item, which is what I say every single time, is the fact that it has a horrible build path of the cloak of agility and then also going for Caulfield's Warhammer. And these two are horrible item components because it's not a BF sword, it's not a recurve bow, it's not a dark. These are items that give you really poor stats for the goal, right? But when you complete the item, Essence Weaver, it's really amazing because basically this gives your Q the ability to basically one-shot a wave. It gives you the ability to poke. So one singular item basically gives you majority of the benefits of the lethality build without actually going for all the lethality items, right? And then you have Triforce, right? Another core item on Varus, right? So the reason why Triforce is so good is because it's a jack of all trades item. And in Varus's case, he makes good use of everything, right? 250 max health makes you more tanky. AD, lovely, because you're an ADC. Attack speed, lovely, right? Because you want to get your blight stacks on faster, you want to attack faster, great. 25 ability haste, amazing, because your W cooldown is so long, you want it to be shorter, it's a major source of damage. And honestly, your Q and E also has a decently long cooldown. So Varus is a champion with long cooldowns, right? 25 ability haste, much appreciated. 20 ability haste, much appreciated. And then you have Spellblade, right? Which with Varus, you always want to be auto-attacking to stack your blight and then using spells to prompt the blight anyways, and auto-attack spells, and you're like basically mostly a caster ADC who can also, of course, utilize your auto attacks in between, so perfectly fits Varus's playstyle completely. Movement speed as well, amazing, right? So these are basically Varus's two core items, right? So then you move on to your last three items, which are very, very, very situational. So I think that in general, one of Varus's best items, aside from of course these two who are basically the best, right, is Riftmaker. So Riftmaker gives you, ability power which Varus skills with. Magic Pen is very useful because your W is of course magic damage, and the ability haste is really good, max health really good, and then Omnivamp of course really amazing as well. Varus does both physical and magic damage as well, and then Void Corruption, getting the extra damage is really one of the main reasons why you go for this item. The Void Corruption is really, really good because you're generally in longer fights in the mid to late game when you build this item. So getting the extra true damage on your abilities and your autos is really, really helpful, right? So of course, generally you do have some kind of armor penetration option, but you don't really even need to go for this every game, right? Because Varus already does % health damage on his W, so you don't really even need armor pen every game. But if you do, more Minor generally the best option because you do get grievous wounds as well as armor penetration, right? So I like to go for defensive option as the last option, so that's going to be items like Twin Guard for the dual resistances, Maw, even something like Wit's End. So basically, the other items you can go for, Crown, also an amazing item to go for because of safety. And then you have Spear of Shojin, right? Which is, again, really good item, right? 300 max health makes you very, very tanky. 50 AD is a lot. 25 ability haste is a lot. And when you use your ult, you get movement speed. So this is a very common item that I swap into my build, for example, over here. When I need to. Another item that's very common, you will see this in the gameplay later on as well. I didn't put all the items here because it's really just a ton, right, is also going for, if I can find it, yeah, oh, over here, right, Serpent's Fang, right? So Serpent's Fang, really useful into a shielding team. You always want to go for this against a shielding team, normally in this spot, which is where I actually went for it. And then pretty much the last 3 items that you can spec into any of Varus's variants. So for example, I can go Essence Reaver and then into Triforce and then go into, for example, on hit. So then I can go into like Bork, Runans and Wits End as my last 3 items. I can even go into crit. Like I can go into BT, I can go IE, something like that. I can even go Lethality, so I can go for something like Serpent's Fang and then into Age of Night, something like that. Or I can go most commonly into AP. So for example, I complete these 2 items and then I go into Riftmaker and then I go into something like, Infinity Orb, and then I go into, let's say, Death Cap, or, if I need anti-shielding, maybe Ocean's Trident. So really what I'm trying to say is that Varus has a ton of build diversity, and the core items are these 2. So, a lot of other things you can go for. So we talked a long time about the items already. Now we need to talk about the runes. So again, Varus can take a ton of runes. So Fleet Footwork, very good for sustain and mana regen, as well as giving yourself the movement speed. But what is actually the main reason Varus takes this rune is because you get 100% bonus attack speed. And why is this useful? It's to really get your blight stacks on. So for example, you auto once, prop fleet over, you auto twice. Again, that's 2 stacks of blight, and you only need to auto 1 time more for the maximum stacks, or you can instantly prop those 2 blight stacks you've put on the enemy, really quickly. Aside from Fleet Footwork, you really have a ton of options with Varus. So you want more poke, Airy is there for you, as is Arcane Comet. Phase Rush, really solid Varus option, just reducing your cooldowns and giving movement speed, really amazing. Conquer, really solid option as well for longer fights. Press the attack, really nice in lane and for shorter trades. Lethal Tempo, really nice for those very long fights where you can, of course, gain a lot of attack speed, especially if you're planning to spec into the more crit or attack speed focused side of the build. And even First Strike is also really good for Varus, especially if you're gonna go for a more bursty build towards the end, like Lethality, for example, or even AP. So really, Varus can kind of go for a lot of Keystone runes. He probably has the most flexibility out of all of the ADCs in terms of Keystone runes and itemization as well, right? Then, of course, you have the standard ADC Loadout, Brutal for the auto attack damage, Giant Slayer against the tanks, Alacrity for more attack speed, and Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities. And then finally here, we have Flash together with whatever someone's player needs. So this could be Cleanse against CC, could be Barrier, Exhaust, or even Ghost, right? Ghost is amazing on Varus as well. Now to help you guys out a little bit to decide on what summoner spell to go for, I've left a guide in the cards above on what summoner spells ADCs should go for. But with all that said, now let's finally move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so let's take a look at our gameplay, but before we do, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Of course, I will be sure to address them, or drop a like. So, hopefully you guys didn't really mind the very long intro, not really intro, but the loadout section of the video, because I really need to explain, Varus's itemization and build diversity, especially considering this is the updated complete guide for Varus, the one where we go very in-depth into the champion, if at all possible, which with Varus, there is so much depth that I think I could make like a 30-minute video just on his itemization and runes like alone, right? Without even going into any gameplay or whatnot, right? But we try to do it as quickly as we could, because we don't want to be looking at like a 1-hour video, do we? So yeah, so here we are playing with a Seraphine against a Vayne and a Lux, right? So here, Vayne Lux is a little bit of a anti-synergistic kind of lane, and here Lux actually goes up to trade autos with me, which is a very big mistake, because as a mage support you can never trade autos with the ADC. Vayne was not really cooperating and not helping to auto me either, so I was basically kind of just winning the trade against them. Now, I do eventually get chunked, but once again, I have Fleet Footwork for the sustain. And also, we did just win the trade in general. Right? Both of them are half HP now, so we're basically winning the trade. Of course, Vayne is a really weak champion in the early game, with Lux being a decent early game champion. So Vayne, Vayne's gonna need the Lux to kind of carry the lane and kind of just poke us to a point that we cannot really do anything. Seraphine is also similar to Lux, kind of just decent in lane, like just okay. She does have lane pressure, but she's not that amazing. Varus, I would say, is a pretty strong laner because you always have kill potential at level 3, which is where we just got to right now. And I say that because you will basically get your full burst combo of your E as well as your W and Q. With of course your W into Q with full bite stacks being the full burst combo that you really want to look for. And whoops, as I'm messing with my volume there. So here they are really, really low. I just need like maybe 1 or 2 autos onto them, and then I can probably pop the WQ and then probably kill them. I think 2 autos probably will be enough. I don't even think I need all 3. So you can see I'm going for it. So here I go for the auto onto the Vayne. And here I tried to one-shot her, but you can see, you actually can't see because of the angle on the map. But if you take a look at the bottom right corner of the screen, you can see Vayne like literally blinking health bar 1 HP. Can't even see her HP, right? I think I just got a little bit unlucky on that one, and I just couldn't manage to do enough damage to complete the kill. So that was a little bit unfortunate that we couldn't really, secure the kill in that instance. But it kind of, yeah, it kind of happens, right? Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get a bit unlucky, and that's just one of those cases where we didn't really manage to complete the kill. Either way, it's still all good. I mean, kind of one of the disadvantages of that is sometimes if they see something like that, they kind of play scared and they don't walk up anymore. But in this case, I don't know where Lux is walking, right? She's walking into the river, I guess, to put a ward down, but Wukong could have easily caught her out and disrupted her, but he chose to just walk mid lane instead, which is pretty funny. So here we get full stacks onto Lux, bursting her down, negate a little bit by her shield. But, we still get very good damage off onto the Lux. Now, thankfully, this Lux is not a very good shot and cannot really land her spells. So we are having a pretty jolly good time in lane, dodging all her spells and then landing our own poke onto her and Vayne. Now, Lux is half health and really low on mana, right? So now it's really good time to actually fight or do something about it. A fight breaks out in the mid lane. But here you can see Vayne condemns me into the wall. Really nice play by her. But once again, I cannot believe that we did not kill the Vayne. Vayne lives on 1 HP for the second time. And honestly, at this point, I wouldn't say I was pissed off, but I was definitely getting a little bit agitated, right? Because how unlucky can you get? Like, the guy lives on 1 HP once, alright, it happens, right? Guy lives on 1 HP twice, like, come on, man. Like, I deserve that kill, right? So, I mean, of course, I could have played better, right? I could have cleansed like a half second earlier, for example, or I could have charged up my Q for just a millisecond longer. I probably would have killed her, but once again, a little bit unfortunate we don't kill her again, right? And it just of course gets a little bit frustrating. Of course, you guys know what I mean. And yeah, just a little bit unlucky here. So the worst kind of games are the kind of games like these where, for example, you miss out on like a couple kills early game and then you end up dying to them instead, or like you get ganked like twice, for example, and you die twice, and then the whole game just goes out of control and you felt like you've been playing well and you like quote unquote deserve to not even win, right, but deserve to be ahead of the game at least, right? But you end up being not just not ahead, but you end up being behind. So here, Lux pretty much just auto-targeted and kind of messed up. Here we finally killed the Vayne, but now we're getting chased down by an Olaf, which is a little bit unfortunate, and he's running us down. The Seraphine Shield actually saves us at the last moment, allows the Lux to actually end up overextending and then get rooted under the tower with us bursting her down and Seraphine completing the kill to make it a 1-for-2 trade when we got ganked by Olaf, which, although I did die, and I didn't get the second kill, I think overall it was still pretty good, right? In a sense that we traded 1-for-2 when we were playing 2v3, right? And mathematically, that's a really, really good trade. I guess quite obviously, right? So we end up doing pretty solid here. And now the dragon is up and there's a dragon fight, going on. I'm making my way to the dragon and trying to help out with the fight. Now it's, I believe, a 4v4 here, about to be, everybody's coming to join, right? My team now has 5 men strong. And here Lux, I know Lux loses her mind. She walks into my entire team. Like, how could this be allowed? I'm running her down. She flashes away. And now I'm kind of just, running a little bit away from the fight because I don't want to get caught up by the enemy team. I need to go around if I need to, but I decided to go for the wave, which is kind of crashing into my tower. Now Lux loses her mind again and walks into my team. Now this Lux is just kind of hardcore inting at this point. Like, she's been missing all her skill shots. She's walked into my team not once but twice. Now here, I've had enough. I'm gonna kill this Vayne. I know I can get the kill. Now Ambessa, I don't think she can 1v2 us. Seraphine gets the ult onto her and we are able to make a double. So finally we're being rewarded for our good gameplay by getting a couple of kills in the bag. So now it's going well, right? It started off a little bit iffy in the sense that we played well, but we were not really rewarded in the sense of kills for playing well. But now we finally are getting the kills, and now we complete the Essence Reaver. Now we can start building into the Triforce, and now we can get the snowball rolling. So now we are definitively the most played member of the game. We're about almost 2k gold ahead of anybody else on the enemy team. So we're in a very, very solid spot right now. And a Varus that's ahead is very, very hard to deal with now. As I said, I believe Varus is like one of the best ADCs. Not even one of the best. I personally believe Varus is the best ADC in the game. I think he has been for the past like almost a year at this point. Yeah, he's just been really good for really, really long. So yeah, so here, you know, Lux gets a little bit caught out, takes a little bit of burst damage, and you know, is getting chunked out right now. And here they're getting shoved under tower. We cannot really just simply walk up to them under tower. I mean, we can, right, but we do risk getting engaged on, right? So here, Kill is now apparently here to kind of help out. Victor and Yone, our Victor and our Yone have kind of swapped lanes. So Yone is now the mid laner, and Victor is now the bot lane, not the top laner. And Lux here up the wave supposedly to clear the wave more quickly. And here you can see we can one-shot the wave ourselves. And here, you know, Vayne getting caught out. I'm trying to catch out the Lux myself. I end up whiffing all my spells, really. So, yeah, that was kind of my bad. I could have easily... Okay, I wouldn't say easily killed the Kill, right? Because Kill has ulti, so I wouldn't say easily. But we probably could have killed somebody if I actually aimed my spell properly. I ended up aiming at... I believe that was the Lux or the Vayne. And they're a little bit out of my range. So I couldn't really reach them, but I was aiming for them anyway. So I kind of whiffed everything. I probably should have just went for the Kill. The reason why I didn't want to go for the Kill is because I know Kill... I didn't see Kill ult. So I assume Kill has ult, right? So, like, Kill players tend to be more selfish and tend to ult themselves most of the time instead of their teammates. So I was thinking, like, you know, if I focus Kill, she's gonna ult herself, right? If I focus her teammate, she may not ult her teammate. Because some Kills are, you know, a little bit selfish and they will never ult the teammate. Some Kills like will, but not paying attention, or you know, not fast enough, or some Kills will ult teammates very often, but those are of course the most rare. So I was kind of hoping that we could go for someone who's not Kill, and then you know, Kill will ult them, and then we could kill. But in the end, I guess maybe we should have just gone for the Kill and force the ult or whatnot. So here I'm now getting shoved in because my support is on vision in mid lane, so they know that I'm here alone, and that makes it a little bit risky for me, but overall, it's fine because I just end up collecting the farm and, yeah, just staying on the tower where it's relatively safe. Now, huge plays going on in mid lane. A lot of people are joining that play. I'm still staying top because Vayne is top and I don't want to give her like a free tower, which will give her the goal to get back into the game. So we're going to clear the wave first and then we can move to mid to see if anything's going on. Right. So in the meanwhile, I'm just kind of just hanging around, right? So I kind of wanted to clear the next wave, to be honest, but Herald gets placed down. I suspect a fight's going to go down, and I know Vayne is not rotating, or at least not rotating as fast as me, so I'm not trying to be here to you know, help my team out. However, this is always the problem of the to rotate or not to rotate, right? Because now we rotated, and now we end up having a Vayne who's you know, as expected, knocking on our tower, and we basically rotated and did nothing productive, right? No fight really happened. We didn't, you know, kill anybody, you know, nothing really happened. We just walked there and walked back, right? Which, of course, you know, sometimes it do be like that, where you try to help your team, but nothing actually ends up happening, and you don't really want to force a play. But sometimes it does, right? And sometimes it does pay off because you're there and the enemy counterpart is not there. You know, it just kind of sometimes works out that way. So in this case, we eventually accrue the goal to get our Triforce just fine, and my team eventually does end up getting into a fight while I'm not there, and they end up basically all dying, which is, yeah, you know, so there's really no real right and wrong move. It's kind of just your own experience and what you think is the best to do, right? Because, like, you know, there's a scenario where you rotate and you help your team kill everybody, great. There's a situation where you rotate and you all get killed by everybody, and that's horrendous, right? Because enemy team gets tower, enemy team kills you. Speaking of kill, here we're in the Dragon Pit just killing everybody. Now Lux again running right in the wrong direction, and yeah, three deaths on the enemy team. Great for us, right? And then there's another situation where you don't rotate, your whole team dies, and then of course there's a situation where the enemy takes your tower, whether you rotate or when you rotate, and depending on what happens in the rotate, it may or may not be worth it. So essentially, there are a lot of permutations and combinations as to what the different scenarios you know, could be if you rotate or not, right? So really, there probably is an optimal play, right? But the optimal play kind of depends on your experience, and it could go many ways, right? So here, I'm trying to set a trap to kill Vayne, right? Because, you know, the more behind you put the Vayne, who's only actually died twice, right? She's really far behind, but she's not like died 10 times or not even 5 times for that matter. She's only died twice, right? So here, me and Yun are able to kill her together. And the more that Vayne is dead, the less time she has on the map to do anything productive, right? So of course, when you're dead, it's not just that, I don't know if you guys realize this, right? But when you're dead, it's not just that you give the enemy team gold from your death, but you're also not on the map to get gold yourself, right? So every time you die, the difference between you and your enemy counterpart is gonna get higher and higher. I mean, of course, in the early game, the most significant is the gold that you get from the kill, right? But in the mid to late game, it's not just from the kill itself, but it's also from the fact you're not on the map to farm or not on the map to get any gold or assists or whatever, right? So that is the more detrimental part, in my opinion, of dying in the mid to late game, right? The fact that the enemy team is able to farm while you're not, and also furthermore, the enemy team has greater pressure on doing objectives because they are at a numbers advantage. So all of these kinds of things, right? So obviously you don't want to die any time of the game, but yeah, just kind of pointing it out. So here, definitely if that's gonna happen, I'm just standing behind, waiting for the fight to break out, and then just getting stuff done, right? So Olaf here getting completely chunked. I can't believe that didn't kill him, by the way. And I also get hit by the plant, right? The frozen the frozen thing, right? I mean, no one ever uses that plant very well, right? So I think that's only like the third time I've ever actually gotten hit by the plant, got frozen, and as a result was unable to complete a kill. So yeah, that rarely happens. Now here, Mbessa is coming over the wall, it seems, and she's now stuck in the 1v3, so she's definitely gonna die, but she's able to actually ult Victor and kill Victor before she does so, which is pretty unfortunate. Now we're gonna run down the Lux, and Lux flashes away. So in this case, in the game here, we actually chose to go for, as you guys can see, we completed our Serpent's Fang as our third item. So this is of course mainly because there's a lot of shielding on the enemy team, and by a lot of shielding I mean of course Lux, right? Lux has a lot of shielding, and Mbessa also has a shield on her W, so decent amount of shielding to remove, right? And also I personally feel it's quite likely Olaf goes for gargoyles, since he has Heartsteel as his first item. Normally if you go for Heartsteel, you're going for gargoyles, right? Because you can make use of the Heartsteel health to make the gargoyles shield bigger. So I think it's pretty likely. So I think that the Serpent's Fang is really great value here. Furthermore, Serpent's Fang is also 400 gold less expensive than Riftmaker, right? So sometimes, in very, very niche circumstances, if you can't afford Riftmaker and you need to get an item spike before an objective, sometimes Serpent's Fang is better to go for in those scenarios as well. So now, we're very far ahead. It's just a small matter of kind of closing out the game. I mean, honestly, if you look at our team, it's really only me that's very far ahead, right? You take a look at the overall goal difference in between the two teams, it's 7k, right? Which is a lot, right? But out of the 7k, 4k of that goal difference is between me and the Vayne. So, I'm really the one with the huge lead, right? If you really take a look, Seraphine and Lux are basically even, Victor and Kill are basically even. I'm 4k gold ahead, and Wukong is 2k gold ahead, right? So, really the main difference is between the jungle and the ADC, who we are very far ahead of our counterparts here, and this allows us to of course secure Baron. We kill Vayne, and Wukong is not just flashing in, just going ham. Seraphine getting a huge ult in the choke point. I'm getting a huge ult as well. It's kind of spreading all over. I'm trying to help peel my backline from the Mbessa, and the kill here actually manages to escape, at least for the moment. And here at this point, with the entire enemy team dead, it's time to go for objectives. I mean, we've got the Baron, and honestly, I don't even think we need this dragon. I think maybe pushing top lane and mid lane might be a better use of our time. But at this point, I guess we mainly want to deny the enemy team the bounty, right? So we don't want to give enemy team bounty for free. Now, I don't know what the Yone is doing. He's trying to 1v1 the kill, but I think he's losing. He does kill the kill though. He's now 1 HP, so he's a little bit of a precarious spot right now. Here, we're just trying to counter jungle the enemy's jungle. I actually realized that it's probably better to secure the tower instead of the jungle, because this tower, as you can see, is 350 gold, right? For securing a tower. So I'm really fed. I actually gone for a stasis just to kind of help myself out a little bit. Now here Olaf is running down the Victor. I realized that Victor is a lost cause. There ain't no way I'm gonna be able to do anything there. However, though, this Mbessa, I can kill her because she just goes over the wall for no reason. Now Olaf doesn't have ult anymore. Now he's a lot more vulnerable. I'm chasing him down with the help of the fleet foot with movement speed as well. Don't think Wukong needs to ult there, but hey, it's all good. We murder multiple members of the enemy team. Only the bot lane's left alive. We know the bot lane's basically useless, so no big deal there. So here I'm going for this tower. If Lux or Vayne comes to defend the tower, I'm not going to be too afraid of them. We're able to get the tower with completely no issue. And here, I'm just looking to cover Yone a little bit while he is putting pressure in mid. I'm here just counter jungling the enemy jungle at the same time, just of course to deny them the farm as well as get my own farm. Now I'm just gonna do the enemy blue buff. Of course, number one, because blue buff is actually important to me for my mana, right? Because I'm really running out of mana. Of course, number two, denying the enemy team. Right, so now with all of that, we're able to pick up Riftmaker as well as getting the anti-heal as well. Now honestly here, I could easily just go for a defensive item, but honestly here, I believe the game is going to end within the next few minutes, right? So no point starting to build Twin Guard. I think getting a little bit of anti-heal probably is the best, item component I could get there. Considering I need a major spike. Now, I wouldn't even say anti-heal is a major spike, but I'm not going to complete an item before the game ends, in my opinion, right? Because if everything goes to plan, we're going to kill this Elder Dragon, use the Elder Dragon to either secure Baron or end the game, and either which way, the game is not going to last long enough for me to get another item, in my opinion, but we'll see about that. But that's in an ideal world, right? That's what's going to happen. So here, Elder is, of course, up. Now here, very interesting chain of events happens here. So my team is starting out Elder. Yone is trying to go in 1v4 or something like that to distract the enemy team. However, he doesn't distract them for long enough. So here you can see, Dragon is falling fast, but Olaf manages to enter the pit. So this is dire straits now. So anybody could get it. I end up launching my spell into the pit. I get the Dragon, and with that... Excuse me. So with that, we're able to wipe the entire enemy team. And basically just murder everybody and end the game. So, as I said, we wouldn't get enough time to get an item as I expected. And yeah, so now we just end the game. I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.